It is ridiculous. This has been a lot. So we're talking backstage talk because this has been a lot of tech stuff to make this happen from BroadwayCon. But I'm Lauren Van Hamer from Welcome to Broadway. Here we are at BroadwayCon Day 3, and I'm hanging out. And this is very exciting with Shae Marie, who is one of our critics, cohorts, and fellows. But more than that, she is backstage everything. She is an amazing human. She's just got so much great stuff going on. So before we get into the play, before we get into what you're doing here today at BroadwayCon, let's talk about backstage everything.
Yeah,
a
favorite topic.
About let me turn the thing on. They can hear you, but the podcast people, we want good sound for them.
Great.
All right. So, tell me about Backstage Everything, why you started this platform, and what the mission and purpose is.
Yeah, so, how far I gotta take it back? Well, first and foremost, I've been in theater the majority of my life, and it was a dream of mine. Like, I feel like every theater person's dream to graduate from school and then move to New York City and like try your hand at this thing, right? That's what all the artists ever want to do. So I did that. And I quickly saw that my dreams of being Audra McDonald, the plus size version, was going to be 0 to none very quickly. I mean, boop, hit you in the face quickly. I didn't go to many auditions because it wasn't at any point. You knew that they wanted a certain type of person and a look of a certain type of person. And I feel like the majority of the time when I was auditioning, it was just a waste of time. And I started being a teacher, and I was like, I'm not messing up my $40,000 a year to be going to these auditions that ain't going to amount to anything. So I essentially kind of quit. You know what I mean? Like, for a while, I was like, yeah, bump this. Like, I had done some stage management work, but I wanted, hello.
Hey, how are you?
But
This is just
hello.
Theater, but please stay free. Are you in a show? No,
not Broadway. I could be one day.
I hope so for you. Sorry.
Thank you.
That's okay.
No, it's fine.
It's not you all. It's like it's live.
That's why. That's why it's live. So yeah, I just quickly kind of quit for a while and did stage management work and did some teaching work, and then I moved to LA. Things got weird, and I was teaching and doing stuff in LA, and then the pandemic happened, and everything shut down for me in one day, like everybody else's, and especially within the industry. And I moved back home to Chicago, and I had a whole bunch of time to figure out what was next. During that time, all theater makers everywhere, Black, went to Clubhouse. Black theater makers is what made Clubhouse Clubhouse. I don't think a lot of people want to admit that.
No, and I saw not the Wiz, the color purple, the Wiz, yes, the Wiz.
They put on Lion King,
Clubhouse,
Dreamgirls. Dreamgirls was huge. I mean, literally the original Dreamgirl. Her name is right here in my mind. I can't get it. Not Jennifer. Starts with an S. It'll come to me. But one of the original, right? Please comment. But she joined the producing team of the audio version of Clubhouse during this time. Like, it was huge. It was everywhere. And Black theater professionals were the ones that made Clubhouse like cute. We were the ones that brought people to the app. If it was not for us, people still wouldn't know what Clubhouse was. And we got on Clubhouse and we created communities and we read plays and we wrote plays and we performed plays, and it was a big deal. And so I was thinking, when everything shut down, I'm like, dang, how am I going to contribute to, bringing our industry back during this time? And so Clubhouse happened, and I said, ooh, this is my chance. So me and my co-founder, she lives in LA. We were talking about the industry one day, and she was like, it was a whole bunch of rooms on Clubhouse. It was like artist rooms, agent rooms, producer rooms, director rooms, and they were 24/7, never ending for like weeks at a time. And we noticed that there were no rooms for backstage people. None, like nothing about stage managers, lighting designers, sound designers, like none of that was a thing. So we said, what if we figured out a way to not hunt, but like find other Black theater professionals and like in these different realms, and then bring them on a show and ask them about what they do. So that's how kind of BSC came about, because it was like, theater is so racist. We don't even know where each other is. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not many of us, and we still don't even know where we are. So we were like, we gotta look for these people. So we started DMing people and searching people and really diving into archives. And we found every single week we highlighted a career in theater. So the first one, of course, since both of us were stage managers, we had a Black stage manager talk. Very successful. Next week, it just went on. We started talking to music theater writers, Black composers, Black designers, Black professors, theater professors. I mean, it just, every week it was something new. And I was like, wait, I think this can really be something. So early on in 2021, I think January or February, I just went on ahead and got LLC and was like, let's make this something. And our first thought when making Black Stage Everything was we were tired of hearing the critique. We want to hire you guys. We don't know where to find you. That was like the biggest thing they would say, especially, whenever you ask them. And so we were like, well, let's create a database, like an all-encompassing database. Because at this time, everybody was making databases, right? Like the Black hair and makeup people had a database. The Black directors had a database. The Black casting people had a database. And we were like, what if we put all those databases together, an all-encompassing database where you can be found by your occupation, like what you do in the industry, and location. And that's how BSE started. And we started to get a website, and then we quickly found out that starting a database was a lot of money. We're talking about like $10,000-$15,000 type of money. We didn't have that type of money because we was out of work like everybody else. So we ended up really focusing on the interviews and creating community, because we were like, by the time we get to the point where we can get the database, we'll have this community. They'll sign up, and then they can add value to the database. So that was our reasoning behind it. And then it just kind of blossomed. It just kind of blew up. And we were like, whoa, what's happening here? And then people started coming to us trying to sell us pipe dreams about being produced and being part of the broadcast the Broadway podcast network and all these other things. And then they quickly took it away. Like as fast as they tried to give it to us, they took it away. So we were like, what is going on here? And one of the critiques that we got was, you're dreaming too big. They literally came to us and said, think of your dream panelists, design shows, right, where you have your dream panelists, and we'll help you get that. When we like put up the draft for who we wanted to talk to, and the themes that we wanted to discuss, they told us we were dreaming too big, and that we needed to focus on the people that we knew, because we were dreaming too big. Can you believe that? So we said, all right, bet. And right after that, I want to say maybe 2 months after that, I DM'd Douglas Lyons, and that's when BSC really took off. So that's kind of like the Chicken and Biscuits, the playwright of Chicken and Biscuits, and now the one of the co-authors on forgive me, Douglas, if you listen to this, but I think it's called Straggle Rock on Apple TV, and a couple other TV projects that he's about to be on. And he's also a half of a composing team. I mean, he's everywhere. Chicken and Biscuits is being done like 10 times across the country right now. And if you are listening, Douglas, anybody that's connected to Douglas, I have an eternal gratefulness and thank you to Douglas, because he gave us a chance. He didn't know who we were, who I was, anything. and he showed up, and that came from a simple IGDM. So this is y'all, whoever's listening to this is your sign. If you like, I need to talk to somebody, but I'm scared, jump in their DMs. Don't even think about it. It works. And Douglas will tell you that the reason how he got Chicken and Biscuits on Broadway was because he jumped in a random Broadway producer's DM and asked them to read Chicken and Biscuits. So jumping in DMs is valuable, y'all. Jump in IG DMs. Shoot your shot. Of the Broadway League. I know y'all did.
All right, so you have backstage everything. You relocate back to New York after the pandemic.
Yeah.
You've been here finishing graduate school.
Yeah.
You've written this play, which is going to be have a produced stage reading next week.
This weekend.
This weekend. So tell me a little bit about the play and the hopes for that.
Yeah, man. Cool. Because I always want to start from the beginning, right? Because you can't really talk about what's happening now without the beginning. So when I first moved to New York in 2014, I was the stage manager of the first workshop of Good Grief. That was written by Ngozi Awanu, which a lot of people know was a very extremely talented playwright, poet, actress, etc. And I was the director of the workshop was Obie award winning Russell G. Jones, and the assistant director was Powers actor Susan Hayward. And I remember telling Russell when after we had a production meeting in Signature Theater's a lobby, like a lot of us did at that time. He told me, he said, "Yo, you have to tell somebody this story one day," because I was just telling him about how this stuff came about. And the day that we had the first rehearsal, I was moving to New York that same day. So I got to rehearsal and I was rushing in, and they were like, "Oh my God, hey, you made it, you're here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I just moved here today." And everybody was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, today." And so I remember Russell saying, "You got to write something about this. Like, I don't know if you got to do a blog or if you got to write a book, you got to write a play, you got to write something about this experience." And I said, "You know what? Maybe one day." Because at that time, I didn't think that I could write a play. Like that never crossed my mind. I wanted to be Audra McDonald plus size version. Okay, I was gonna be the musical theater diva. I was gonna be Patti LuPone, dark skin and big. You understand? That was my dream. You know what I mean? And so when he said that, I'm like, right. Like I was a poet, so I already did slam poetry, but that was as far as it was gonna get. I never thought I was gonna write a book or anything like that. And so fast forward, I moved to LA. And I'm in one of like the darkest times of my life. Like life just went to hell in LA. And I remember I'm sitting in the projects. It was called The Jungle, right in the middle of South LA at my friend's house. No money, no way to get money, no job, no nothing. And I remember Russell's words. All of a sudden, his voice came to me and it said, you got to write something about this. You gotta write this down some type of way, some type of how. And I said, shit, I gotta write a play. Swear to God, that literally that's how it happened. 2019, I started writing a play. I didn't know what the hell I was doing ever. I was just writing scenes that actually happened in my real life. And I just wrote them in scenes and just put it down. Before I knew it, I had like 50 pages of scenes. And I was like, whoa, I think I got something here. So over that time, I've been refining, rewriting, visiting, taking things out, cutting, the writing process, y'all. It's all about the process. And I started my MFA program at St. Francis College. Woo, woo, go Terriers. In summer 2020. And I was the only playwright in my program. But I was a poet, so I did all the poetry stuff. And I was like, but I got this play though. And I think I can do something with this. I still didn't know what it was going to be. Back to Clubhouse, we had this group called Black Playwrights. And every Friday, we would join and talk for hours about playwrights and the industry and producing and what it means to put up our stories and stuff like that. And from that group, I met Osiris. But I didn't realize that I already knew Osiris because we were back in Chicago in the Chicago theater scene, but I wasn't doing Chicago theater. I was just like working and stuff, but I knew the scene because I'm a theater girl. And I realized I met Osiris before. He's another one, of course, and like one of my greatest friends. And I, I I asked him. I said, "Hey, I have this play. Can you take a look at it?" And after that, he became my playwriting coach. And I literally paid him to like help me revise my script. And then that's when it really started taking a turn and it started looking like a play. Because at first it was scenes. And so the reason behind the show was Toni Morrison always said, one of my favorite authors in the entire world, always said that if there's a book that you haven't read, you have to be the one to write it. It's my favorite quote in the whole wide world. And so I thought about that quote and I thought about Russell G. Jones. And I said, you know what? I need to write the characters that I want to be. And then, of course, by then we knew who Issa Rae was, right? I was an Issa Rae friend a long time ago when she had Awkward Black Girl on YouTube. You know what I mean? So I was just like always inspired by her. I was inspired by people like Ngozi that would write their own stuff and star in it. I was super inspired by Tyler Perry, and I was like, maybe one day I'll write something where it would be a plus size Black Shiro and I can play that Shiro. That was my thought process. So as the story started developing, I got more and more characters, and I was like, what if we saw not one, not two, not three, but 5 Black fat women on the stage at the same time without anything in the play being about their size? Have you ever seen a show like that? No, I'm trying to tell you, no. Motormouth Maybelle, one of her songs is literally called Big, Blonde, and Beautiful. Mama Morton, about her being big. Who else? That's really the only two? And then Effie clearly was turned down because she was fat, right? So whenever there was a big Black woman that was in a musical or in a show, it was about her size, right? You guys can listen. You guys listen. Oh my God, thank you. And so I wanted to write a show in which we can see multiple fat Black women on stage without any of it being about size. And so I wrote a play and it's being put on. The stage reading finally is coming this Saturday. St. Francis College, 180 Remsen Street at 6 o'clock in the Maroney Theater. And I am going to be debuting this show. I have 6 incredible plus size Black femmes that are going to be rocking it. And it's going to be lit and it's going to be great. And my hopes for this show is that it do go to Broadway, is that it do go to West End, because we've never seen a show like the one that I've written. And I in my playwright note in the script, I put, if you're going to put this show on, you are not allowed to change the description of my characters, and you are not allowed to add anything to the script that is going to talk about the size and the color of the characters. Thank you for being a change agent in this industry, and thank you for putting on my show. That's what the Playwright Note says. And so I'm hoping to change it. The name of the show, I forgot that, right? The name of the show is called Blue and Green, and that is after the Miles Davis track. Thank you. Thank you. Love Lauren. Love Lauren. She gasses me up, guys. We are live, but it's live because we live at BroadwayCon. We're live. Yes. It is 180 Remsen Street, St. Francis College in the Maroney Theater, 6 o'clock, July 16th. Saturday, July 16th. Blue and green. I'm not in it, thank God, because I need to just watch it and see what happens. But it is, I have some fantastic actresses and they're going to blow it out the water. It is two men people that is in the show as well. But I want people to remember the show for the casting and for the story and for the message, you know? And I want to continue to create work that is going to take the intersectionalities of who I am and put them on the big stage in a very non-problematic and non-toxic way, because we are more than trauma, right? We're way more than trauma, and I want to be an agent of Black joy. There's a lot of joy in existing, right? And I think a lot of the times in theater, in movies, in film, we literally associate Blackness with trauma. It is literally inseparable. So I'm like, what if I wrote Girls Trip for the stage, right? Like, what happens when you write, Dumb and Dumber, the Black version, right? Why can't we go in the theater and laugh, right? And see these bodies. Yeah, it was funny as shit. Yeah, so much fun, so much fun. And I'm gonna say this on record. I don't care. What a camera. I'm gonna say this on record. The fact that Tyler Perry, I'm gonna take it there. The fact that Tyler Perry is not recognized by the Academy, Broadway or Hollywood, but y'all have chosen to produce shows that literally rip off his style is wrong. It's wrong. Y'all need to call Tyler Perry up and give him checks. And I said what I said, a strange loop. I said what I said. And I can say that with love, right? Because I'm part of that community. I inhabit Black queerness. I'm saying it from a place of love. We don't have to make work that parodies other treasured work in order to be put and be made visible. We all can exist. We need to stop having a spirit of sparingness. There's room for everyone, and everyone's style, there's room for it too. And it's not that doesn't mean that you on Broadway is more quality than someone that's on the Chitlin circuit. I said what I said. Put that on record. Quote me, at me. Absolutely great show. Y'all go see Paradise Square, please. It's amazing. Yes, it is. Thank you guys for coming. Please do. At me. Black Sage Everything. Please do. I kind of do. I kind of do. I don't be thinking in that way though. But I guess so. I do. And I feel like when people go out into the world and they tell the truth, you're going to get people that align with you because you got to tell the truth. It's a lot of people going around yapping about nothing, being performative and not really being allies and not really telling the truth. And I just tell truth when you need to tell truth, you know? And I cannot agree with something that you've done or you've written and still love you, still respect you, still hold you in the highest regard. But I have a critique about what you said or what you did. We need to make space for that. We need to make space for that. But no, Tyler Perry needs his check. Thanks. He also needs to have a show on Broadway. Thank you. Like yesterday. Like 10 years ago. I said what I said. And anybody that creates, I don't care who you are, your community or people are going to have critiques about your work. He isn't the only person that have made stories based on stereotypes, based on, toxic archetypes, based on, you didn't get the ending you liked. Why is it that? And he has a pattern. Anybody who does entertainment and who blows up, you're gonna have critiques about them. But that don't mean that you have to minimize the impact, right? Like all this stuff can exist. I feel like this has been a thorough line that we've been talking about on BroadwayCon, right? Is like yes, but, and yes, and like both of these truths can exist at the same time. Agreed. Agreed.
Let's talk about what you're doing here at BroadwayCon.
Yeah, yeah.
Hanging out with me because
Of course, because I want to be here, Lauren. Period. Period.
But we were on a panel discussion this morning.
That was.
The Broadway Body Positivity Project. You should follow them on Instagram.
Please do. Bopo. Follow Bopo.
And it was such a powerful discussion because we heard these words: body positivity, body neutrality, body positive. Just and I feel like fat people of a certain size,
Right.
as we've had all these discussions about inclusivity and equity, diversity in theater, I feel like the body size issue has been excluded from that conversation.
I agree.
So how do we become part of the narrative? How do you become part of the narrative? Because I don't belong on stage.
You could be though, right? But I feel like this is for all parts of the industry and not just on stage. It's also backstage too. As a stage manager, you don't see a lot of us back there, even though we're there. People of plus size do work in tech. And we are there and we're just as knowledgeable and capable as anyone else. What I have seen though, I will say this, what I have seen, particularly on Broadway, is a change in at least ensembles. So I have been seeing more plus size people on a Broadway stage than I've ever seen before. I will say that. Back in 2014, 2017, you would never have seen two plus size women in a production of The Life. The Life? You would have never seen that. And I've seen a few shows now where they have at least one person and they're dancers. We're talking about dancers, like professional, classically trained dancers. And so what that told me was, it's not that we never existed, it's you never gave us a chance. This was straight up on purpose exclusivity. That's what that told me. Because literally, just like they said in the mental health panel, the lady said, as soon as the pandemic eased up and everybody, everything let up and they were like, oh, we're going to open back up theater again, everybody just went back to work. How mysteriously did you go from no fatties to, oh, give me a couple fatties in 2 years? Where'd that come from? Because we've never had 8 Black playwrights on Broadway at the same time in one season. So that means we exist. We have the work. We're qualified, but it was exclusivity on purpose. That's what that told me. And so instead of being able to go see these shows and feeling this sense of pride, I felt like these mofos knew all this time. That's the sense I had. And it upset me because I'm like, I quit trying to be on stage years ago because I was like, they would never give me a chance. It took for the entire world to shut down and you had no other thing to do but listen, for you to say, oh, I remember the time that plus size dancer auditioned for such and such. Let me call them and put them in the show. Because you know that's what it was. They have to go look in them archives and be like, because you don't forget people that stand out. I don't care what any casting people tell me. You, as a matter of fact, you remember them because you excluded them. Oh, said that on record. You remember them because you excluded them. You put them in a no-pow real quick. So you went through that no-pow and you found those people and they fucking showed you. Excuse me cursing. They showed you. I'm the same quality person that I was 2 years ago when I came to your audition. And now you're going to put me in the show because we're making a fuss about it. That's performative. That's performative. I can't tell you how many people have said that when they came back from the pandemic, they had weigh-ins. They have to be weighed because the costume makers, the costume, talking about the costume, like, you know, like costume people didn't go to school for costume design to sew, to alter, right, to add fabric. One of my good friends, Michael Harrell, a legendary, costume designer and sewer and stitcher, he was like, oh, we could have always done that. They just didn't hire the people that we could have done it for, right? So all this to say, I'm seeing more body inclusivity now, but it's a silent recognition. It's more so like, just come see the show and you'll see. But it's not a, hey guys, look. Like, you're not gonna see, like, there was a picture of the 7, I think it was 7 or 8 Black playwrights that was on Broadway, right? They had a whole little thing for them. They gave them a picture, it was all big. They will never do that for the plus size people on Broadway. They're not gonna say, hey, welcome plus size people on Broadway. They're just gonna say, okay, let's hire some fatties so we can shut them up. And it's good and bad sides to everything, right? Like, it's good because we don't need special recognition to just do your job. But it's also like, people need to know that this is happening.
So the other night when we saw Paradise Square, we saw that incredible performance by
Otherworldly. I've been practicing in my shower ever since. I'm like, I'm gonna get that Let It Burn note, and I'm gonna get it. Ooh, I'm gonna take vocal lessons to get that song. I'm gonna do it. We did. I'm so lucky, y'all. Yeah. We always say representation on stage is so important, but nobody really understands what that actually is. Yeah. I don't want to get teary-eyed and emotional with you guys. I'm not gonna cry because first and foremost, my makeup is perfect. I'm not messing up my makeup playing with you, Lauren. No. I was able to meet the incredible Joaquina Kulango. I'm terrible at pronunciation. I call her JK. Not the Roland. Don't confuse her. Don't confuse her. But no, I was able to just tell her that I don't remember what I said verbatim because that was an emotional moment for me. But I just remember saying something about all the little Black girls that watched her win. And that's going to be able to roll that footage back on YouTube and be able to see her incredible herstory making performance. Herstory performance. And be able to see her win and being presented with her award with her other Black equally legendary in the field friends. That's going to change some things for a lot of minds of theater kids that are going to come up in this new next generation and shake shit up. And I didn't have that when I grew up. The only people I knew was Jennifer Holliday. And then when Jennifer Hudson came out, she only did Dreamgirls, but she did the movie. and then the only Broadway show I was able to see her in was she did The Color Purple very briefly, which I always thought she had a Broadway voice and she should have been a Broadway star, but I guess movies and stuff pay more. But those were like my only ones. That was only like black. I mean, of course we had like Audra, and LaShanze, but they didn't look like me. You know what I mean? But all that to say, we have more examples now of black women having a trajectory where they can dream and then dream to Broadway, and seeing her win is going to change those minds. Seeing that powerful performance is going to change the minds of a lot of little black girl. And it's, you never know who you're going to touch, you never know who's watching. And that's kind of what I just wanted to iterate to her, without just being like, I'm so honored, but it's just like we were watching you. We were there to witness, and what you're doing here is magic, and we're watching your magic and her story. And it's like, thank you for existing, thank you for persevering, because I'm sure her story is crazy. A lot of our stories in this industry is insane. What we had to give. Oh, it's so funny. I feel it all over me. I was out with Trevor of Black Boys Do Theater. Shout out to Trevor, doing incredible work. Shout out to Renee from Black Girls Do Theater. And we went out yesterday, and we went to the Fight Next Time Festival. And afterward, we went to the Lincoln Center and like was seeing some stuff with them. And then we went to just get some ice cream and talk about the journey. And the stuff that we revealed to each other, this was our first time meeting, but the stuff that we revealed to each other that we had to sacrifice in order to be in this industry would make a nun be like, what is going on? Like the stuff we've had to do and the stuff we've had to let go of and sacrifice and put to the side. And oh my God, are you talking about heartbreaking stuff? We were both like holding space for each other and being like, we can't quit because we've sacrificed everything to be here. So I know that if us, who's still trying to get to where somebody like JK is, I mean, Trevor, you kind of live outside the like Broadway Tony thing, but I'm trying to get where JK is. But, I can only imagine. And I've heard some stories, right? But I can only imagine what her journey was. And so I'm just like, thank you for staying with it. Thank you for persevering and existing and taking up space, because now we know we can take up that some more of that space. I wanted to meet Jay Jones so bad. I know she's somewhere in the city, or maybe I think she's in another. I think she's in St. Louis or something doing at the Muni. But I want to meet her so bad because I just want to tell her that because of her being in Beauty and the Beast, I told myself I'm going to get back out there and try again. That was the moment. When I saw her in that dress that they talked about at the panel earlier. I was like, maybe I need to get back out there and try again. And so you just never know who's watching. You never know whose life you're saving. You're never, knowing who you're inspiring. And so it really is important to just keep going, because you just never know who life you're going to save next. Yeah.
So in January, the Line to Broadway won this story. I had a conversation about the need for more critics of color and why there weren't more critics of color. And one said, we are just going to have to recruit them and nurture them and mentor them and teach them ourselves. And so we took a leap and we put out a call for emerging writers, thinking we'll just go for minor writers. But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Shae amplified the signal, and we got writers from everywhere, including Shae. And we have been meeting almost weekly up until the last month or so.
Mm-hmm.
And had some workshops and had a lot of networking Sunday sessions where you all have had opportunities to talk to industry people.
Credible people.
So what has the COVID meant? And I feel like Although in my head I thought you were all going to be theater critics. You were gonna be theater critics. You're all going to do bigger and better things than that.
I mean, wait, what's the question?
So talk about. Well, why don't we talk about this first? Now you're in New York.
Yeah.
There aren't very many, if any, theater critics in public. There's like 8 in the country, I think, and one of the websites. Why is that? Why? I have my theories based on feedback I've gotten.
Yeah.
Why?
That's a loaded question, but I think number one, the education system is so skewed, man. Right? Like you pay all this money to go to art school and they don't teach you jack. They got you sitting around on the floor studying some long Russian dude name, method of acting, and then you go home, right? And like you don't learn anything about the industry at all. A lot of these programs is all conservatory practice based, and there's nothing about business. There's nothing about the environment. It's nothing about, you know what I mean? You don't learn anything. You graduate and you're like, wait, what did I learn? I know that was what it was for me. I was like, what the hell? I had to learn all of my stuff in person. I had to learn them lessons, hard lessons, and like from practice and being here and making the moves. I think a lot of it has to do with education and accessibility. People just don't know you can do it. I don't know anybody when I was younger talking about being a theater critic. But you read criticism though. That was the crazy part. Like if you were in, because people don't understand. Theater people are a bunch of smart nerds. We all went to school. We all went to school. We all read. Like we're a very smart bunch, And but the gatekeeping is so real that you don't even get access to knowing what different types of theater careers there are out there, or you don't get suggestions about tools that you can add to your arsenal to become more of a dynamic theater whatever. Had I would have learned about being a theater critic in undergrad, that would have changed my life in some type of way. But you just don't learn about it. You don't learn about being a stage manager in undergrad. You don't learn about, theater journalism. Theater journalism was, I was like, what? And then people started telling me, like, you're a theater journalist. And I was like, am I? And they were like, you interview people, like you write about theater, you influence people, you're a theater influencer too. I'm like, whoa, y'all putting these things on me. But in reality, that is what I am, right? And so I think it's so far removed from you that even if you're doing it, you don't know you're doing it. And that's because of you just not knowing. You don't have access to the information. I think if more of us knew about the ways in which to be a theater critic, we would choose it. But we just don't know. And also, like the guy said at the mental health thing, he said, because I'm forgetting names, but he said a lot of us are unaware about the environments that we create. Right? And so the environment of theater is exclusivity. It's elitism. It's white. It's male. So when you see theater critics, you think theater critics can only be white and male. That's the unsubconscious message that you get. And it wasn't until I found an Ayanna Prescott or a Juan Porter, or I was like, oh, we do exist. But it took for me to find that, and just because you explore a career doesn't mean you have to do it. So I feel like this cohort for me was an exploration. I gave myself permission to try to learn something. I was incredibly too busy to join this cohort, by the way. I really should have waited. But I'm glad I didn't, because I met a lot of really cool people, and I talked to a lot of really cool people doing some really cool stuff. And now I have those relationships. But I should have waited till I graduated, because I've been doing a lot. But maybe there will be room, and later on to be like, let me be a theater critic. But I think, if you ask me, I think we're moving away from criticism as an industry.
I hope we're moving towards much more conversation about the theater.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard about the Playbill initiative that Ayana was a part of, but it was basically like they're going to pay writers to talk about reasons why people should go see a show, and in juxtaposition to writing criticism about a show, because I think unsubconsciously criticism is negative.
Well, criticism, by its very definition, sets up this antagonist relationship
Yeah.
between the reviewer and the artist. And that's what we've been trying to break down Broadway.
Right.
It's an uphill battle.
It is an uphill battle, and you want to get it published. Like you like want your name in the New York Times. But I think something that I've been realizing for myself, and this has been a thorough line too for the past week. I don't know what's happening, but it's like I know I'm at the right place at the right time, because I've been hearing these words continuously everywhere I've been. The first word is cost. At what cost do you want to do the things that you want to do? What are you willing to do for your dreams, right? Cost. I've been hearing that a lot. Because in playwriting, we call it stakes. What are the stakes to what the character, is going to face if they don't get the thing that they want? And so all that stuff mean the same thing, right? It's just we say it different because it's writing versus real life. But I think it's at what cost. And so I think the space that I've been in is I know I want to write, and I know I want to do and talk about theater, but what kind of theater writer do I want to be? And what do I want to get my criticism out in the way, in my voice, at what cost? And I think that right now that's just not something, criticism is just not something that I'm focusing on, because I'm trying to like write the new generation of like characters onto the stage. And so I feel like I'm more interested in trying to figure out a neutral way to celebrate the work that people are doing instead of criticizing it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I appreciate criticism. I read it faithfully. Like, just because I'm not writing it don't mean I don't read it. I respect it, but I just think for me, I would rather work on creating and breaking down barriers than to critique the hard work of these people putting their blood, sweat, and tears on these stages every night. Those performers in the mental health talk were just talking about, their 5-show weekend and how it's inhumane and how, they're tired, but they love what they do. And it's a sense of you're lucky to be here that they have to deal with, and so it's like they're scared to bring up their concerns because they can be replaced, right? And so it's like you have all this shit going on, and I'm like, and then on top of that, you gonna want to hear my critique? Nah. Either go to the show or don't, but encourage people to come to the show. Like, that's kind of just where I'm at. Buy a ticket, y'all. Like, it don't matter what I have to say about it. Buy a ticket. Support artists and artistry.
I love talking to you. I think for me, when I started the cohort in January with Juan, I had a curriculum in mind. I had goals. I'm a very usually organized person, and so I had this whole outline. And then we had our first Sunday session, and you all were like, "Yeah, no, that's not going to work for us. We really want network."
We really did.
I was like, oh. That book just went out the window, and I was so uncomfortable. And the next day or the day after, I actually had a grant meeting. North Carolina Arts Council funded this program, and I said, I feel so uncomfortable. Like I feel like I should have answers for you, but I don't. I said, I'm really off kilter right now because I met with you. Presented my game plan.
And we were like, nah.
Yeah, that's not going to work. So I said, now I'm going back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
I kept using this word, off kilter, uncomfortable, thrown off my game.
Yeah.
And Jeff Hajiar from the Arts Council said, you just learn one thing so is when you're sitting in that Zoom and you are able to listen and take action.
Yeah.
That is true. So
It is.
what I got out of the program specifically for BroadwayCon and send the discomfort to doing the uncomfortable conversations and Denver hopefully become a better champion for all of you, no matter what you do. Going down the road.
Right.
I feel like we're becoming a little family, but
Yeah.
the other thing I kind of realized, I mean, we all love it, is that I could use my whiteness to bring, we keep talking about this thing, bringing people to the table. But what I learned through this is I could use my white privilege to call up my fancy friends and bring them to the table with all of you. And to me, those Sunday sessions that we had with these industry people and hearing you all interact, that was everything to me. I was like, oh, okay.
But it's kudos to you, Lauren, right? Because we just talked about sometimes we're unaware of the atmosphere that we create, right? And the atmosphere that you created was one that we felt safe enough, right, to share that with you and with everyone else. So that's a testament to who you are as a person, because we can't share our heart the way we did in a lot of these other spaces. So we felt safe enough to do that with you. And so that's a testament to who you are.
But it's about relinquishing power.
Right.
It's about sharing space.
Right.
It's about listening. And collaborating. I feel like we created this thing together and it's become this family. So I'm really excited to see what all of you end up doing. And it's really funny, but we're coming to an end in our funding.
Yeah.
I guess the program comes to an end, but all of you wrote me back and said, well, we're not done, right? Is she going to be with us?
Right. Look, I told Lauren she can't get rid of me. She's stuck with me forever. It's a wrap.
We're together. So I love that. But that to me, that is when I see the hashtags and thoughts and prayers and all the things, I'm like, the allyship is like
Getting your hands dirty. It's not thoughts and prayers. You're right. You're right. And that's what you did. And that's what you did. You got dirty. And deep listening is underrated. Sometimes just listening speaks volumes. It don't take much. Sometimes it's like I really needed a safe space to get this frustration out today about how I felt this way within this industry that I love so much. And just being able to listen speaks volumes. And then on top of that, saying, you know what, I know there's other people that feel like this who are in other positions that may be a bit more powerful than you, and maybe y'all can make that connection and create your own safe spaces to continue this conversation. That's what you did. That was you. I'm just saying, you have to give credit where credit is due. And I think I've had a hard year, y'all. I didn't sit here and got emotional, but I've had a hard year. And what I will say is meeting with Lauren and the cohort has really kept me together. It was like the glue. Looking forward to being in that cohort and having those conversations on Sunday nights really helped me through some incredibly challenging times this year. So, I mean, I'm sad that is ending. we will, but it is on point. But, community is underrated. Community is underrated. Deep listening is underrated. People's presence without talking is underrated. just being a part of something, you just never know what that's doing for a person's life. And you never know where life is going to take you. So sometimes you got to say yes. And I'm glad I said yes. Right. And I'm glad that I amplified it. And like, I'm glad that people got something out of it. And I'm glad that people felt a sense of community, because that's what I felt. And I felt like people also took me no holds barred. I was able to eat my Popeye's chicken box, on Zoom. I was able to be like, hey, y'all, the movers, because I was just moving here. The movers are knocking at the door right now. Give me a second. I'll be back. Like, while our special guest is here, I'll be back. The movers are at my door, right? So it's like these very real things that were happening that everybody just made complete space for. It wasn't a problem. Nobody was pointing fingers, doing blame, talking about how you're not dedicated to this. They just let you be, and they created that environment, and we felt safe enough to exist in that environment. And I cannot say that in all my years of being in this industry, I have felt like that. I would be lying if I said that your community that you created wasn't special to me and it wasn't different. I would be lying. So that, like I said, kudos to you, and for what you're trying to do, what you're going to do, what you're doing moving forward, and how you're supporting, all these people. I mean, it's just incredible what Beltline of Broadway is doing. And I'm just here for however way I can continue to collaborate, help, and support.
Well, this is such a beautiful way to end our time at BroadwayCon. We've spoken to all these amazing performers, and yesterday really focused on advocacy, and just having you here to wrap that all up for us means everything. Thank you, my love.
Thank you for inviting me here to talk to me. I'm literally, I have rehearsal tonight for my show, and I also have to finish writing my show. So so I have to finish writing it before I go to rehearsal. And I said I am not leaving BroadwayCon before coming and speaking with Lauren and ending my BroadwayCon out like this. So I'm glad that you invited me here and that we had this talk. We were finally able to get this interview done.
Yeah, we've
Woo!
been talking about this for a long time.
For a while.
It's meant to be because it's
Yeah.
in person. And
Yeah.
not that we haven't had great conversations over Zoom, but I just love that we're here.
Me too. And BroadwayCon is kind of fun. I didn't come all 3 days. I wasn't able, but this one day has been fruitful enough. I've gotten what I needed, and hopefully, be back next year. Yeah. So podcasting together, who knows, or we'll be at the Tonys next year on the red carpet and like interviewing on the red carpet with Beltline of Broadway and BSC. Keep your fingers crossed.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you all for following along. At some point in the next few hours, we're going to pack up, and the sound, whatever we've created here, is going to be gone. And I will see you all back in LA.